Hello everyone, thank you for joining me in this session. I am super excited to be here talking with you about page experience. My name is Alberto Medina. I'm a developer relations engineer at Google, and I work on a team that has a mission that I love. It encompasses many things related to making the web better, stronger, more modern, and more sustainable. And today what I want is for us to talk about what the page experience ranking signal is all about, that everybody's talking about it, discuss how can we reason about it in practice, and learn about the space of tools that can help us measuring the core web vitals for our sites and also help us automating the factors that influence those core web vitals. And at the end, I will provide you with some pointers of information for you to learn more about these topics and engage with us in our social networks, in our support forums. Google search ranking systems are made up of a series of optimization algorithms. And in order to give you the most useful information that you are looking for, search algorithms look at many factors, including things like the words of your query, the relevance and usability of the pages that are going to be shown to you, the expertise of the sources, creating those pages, and also things like the location and settings that are unique to you. Now, the new page experience ranking factor brings user experience, which means how our users perceive the experience of interacting with our pages, into the set of ranking signals used by Google search engine. So this means that there are a set of aspects that are checked and combined yield a page experience score for your pages. So in a nutshell, the page experience ranking factor says, all other things being equal, pages that bring a better user experience to users should rank higher on search engines. And this is common sense because better experiences benefit users, publishers, site owners, advertisers, and the web ecosystem as a whole. The page experience ranking signal is related to something that you may have heard of that is called the Core Web Vitals Initiative, which is an initiative by Google to provide unified guidance for quality signals that are essential to delivering a great user experience on the web. So basically, Core Web Vitals encompasses three things: a set of user-centric metrics, which can be tracked during the execution of web pages; tools that allows us to measure and report on the performance of our pages in terms of these web vitals; and incentives, so that we all have clear and compelling reasons to strive for healthy core web vitals for our sites. Specifically, there are two main types of incentives. One is the fact that if our sites provide good page experience, we are ensuring that our users enjoy engaging with our sites. And that will translate into more engagement for them, more loyalty, and ultimately more success for you as content creator. And the other type of incentives is like where our content is going to appear and how much traffic are we going to get and so on. Let's talk more about the aspect of the metrics and tools. So in essence, Core Web Vitals seek to measure the distinct aspect of website performance that directly relate to the experience that our users get when engaging with our site. So if you think about it in a way, it is not absolute performance that matters, but rather user perceived performance. And user experience manifests in aspects such as load time, how fast our pages are loading on the devices of our users; interactivity, how long does it take until users can start interacting with the content of our site, of our pages; content stability, how stable or unstable the content on our pages behaves when users engage with it; and user friendliness, that encompasses several metrics that in essence translate to how easy it is for users to draw value from our site via aspects such as site features, accessibility, and so on. So these metrics are used to determine the page experience of a given page and are associated with the performance areas of your site. Something interesting about Core Web Vitals and page experience is that achieving good value for them is a site level goal. We want the pages of our site to have good scores on Core Web Vitals and therefore good page experience ranking signals. And therefore, the onus seems to be solely on site owners and creators, both on the content management system space and in the open web in general, to achieve the desired thresholds on all metrics that influence the page experience signal. But in reality, there are many factors that influence core web vitals, and they are distributed over a variety of components that are involved in what I like to call the web experience service pipeline. For example, you have a lot of factors in the hosting provider side of the equation, like the infrastructure, what platform are you using specifically, are you using a content management system, what kind of extensions are you using. Then you have the optimization that hosting provider applies to your site. Then you have the network that through which your users access your pages. You have the fact that you may be using a content delivery network or not. And then on the client side, you have things like the device that the user is using, the browser that is being used, and also all the things that are in the page that were added by the core of the platform and the extensions and the optimization before the page got to the client side. All these factors influence core web vitals. And for each of these factors, you can dive in and see what are the components of it. For example, in the area of hosting, we have things like server capacity, which may influence the speed at which your pages are generated. You have caching that may be used by the hosting provider, optimizations, and so on. And for each factor, you can find out all the components that are, influencing your core web vitals. Some of them you have control of, and some of them are out of your control. And what you need to do is to be aware of these complexities so that you can make the right decisions that are work for you. Another aspect that is very important is to think about what is the audience of core web vitals and page experience, right? And this audience can be grouped into two main categories that I like to think of. One is the area, the segment of users that are developers. They are highly technical, they can do coding, and they take care of all these influencing factors behind core web vitals and page experience. And on the other hand, is like everyone else, that is the creators, right? People like you and me, or many others that we want to create content for the web. We have things to say, and we want to bring them to everybody using the superpower of the web, global reach. And ultimately, core web vitals and page experience mean the same thing for these people, but at the same time, succeeding with them is a completely different story for each of them. For developers, core web vitals and page experience look more or less like this. They have to know things like fundamental concepts like what is the critical rendering path, blocking resources, and then I need to have a strong knowledge of doing optimizations at the level of CSS or JavaScript, font optimization, image optimization is super important, accessibility, and there are many, many things. So it's a very, very complex and challenging landscape for developers. And for everybody else, then success with core web vitals requires the availability of effective tools in two main areas, in the area of measurements and in the area of automation. Measurement to allow us to measure and track core web vitals for our sites, and automation in order to be able to get the right configuration and structure of our site for all the factors that influence core web vitals and page experience. In the area of measurement, there are quite a few tools that are very powerful, and we're going to mention some of them in a little bit. In the area of automation, there are not as many, but there are also tools available that we need to try to find and use. In the area of measurement, one thing that is very important to understand is that there is a difference between field data and lab data. So some tools are powered by what is called real-world data, or we call field data as well, which is collected via the Chrome UX report project. There is a link at the end of the talk that you can follow to learn more about this project. And then there are some tools that are powered by Lighthouse, which actually corresponds to synthetic data. The performance of our site is evaluated via simulating a scenario in which representing how the site is going to be accessed. Now, results from lab data can be used as a first level approximation guidance, but the ultimate goal is to ensure that we have good core web vitals on field data, because that is the data that is going to reflect actually how our users are perceiving our site. There are many tools in the measurement space, as I said, like you have the dev tools capabilities of Chrome, there is a tool that is very powerful that is called Web Page Test. Then you have the AMP Page Experience Guide that you can evaluate your site very easily. You have Page Speed Insights and so on. The mobile-friendly test is good to test other aspects beyond Core Web Vitals. And then you have the information that tools like Search Console bring to you. Talking about Search Console, there is a very good Core Web Vitals report in Search Console that shows you how your pages are performing based on real-world usage data, what we call field data. There are pointers also to learn more about this Search Console report at the end of the presentation. And then you have tools like Web Page Test, which is a web performance tool that you give it a URL for your site or a page, and it provides deep diagnostic information about how a page performs under an extensive variety of conditions. So once you run your site or your page through this tool, then you get an evaluation with scores, clear, detailed technical information of how your site is performing. So if you have the technical ability and you're interested in this part, Web Page Test is a very, very powerful tool. And I highly recommend that if you can take a look at this article by Adi Osmani, where he goes over detailed instruction on how to analyze and improve your Core Web Vitals, taking advantage of the power of Lighthouse. So this is with respect to measurement. With respect to automation, we can look at the different components or group of components in what I call the web experience serving pipeline for the perspective of tooling. For example, all the onboarding mechanism, optimization, maintenance capability that hosting providers do and offer to their customer are tools for their users to solve the problem of how to get online. Now, the platforms that we use, for example, if we are using WordPress or any other CMS or the open web, the core of the platform are also a form of tools that actually provide the levels of abstraction that we need to, for example, send data from one place to another, features that are exposed through our browsers, and so on. And then extensions. They are the ways that the core platforms are extended to add functionality and look and feel capabilities, are also tools that creators in a given ecosystem use to assemble their sites. And also tools are used to develop those extensions. Specifically, my team at Google focus on the area of building extensions that provide guidance and automation on factors that influence Core Web Vitals. We have been developing the official AMP plugin for WordPress. AMP is a powerful and cost-effective tool which brings a wide range of performance optimizations and best practices together in a single web components framework. So when a site is built using AMP, we have the certainty that we are taking advantage of all these optimizations without having to be highly technical or having to have resources to invest on doing this for us. The first link in this slide points to a great article that explains all the ways in which AMP helps with the many factors that influence good page experiences. And the second link points to a video series in the YouTube AMP channel that teaches you everything about AMP, how it helps with Core Web Vitals, and how you can take advantage of it to bring the power of AMP to your WordPress site. In order to get a glimpse of the AMP plugin in action, let's take a look at the website for the AMP plugin itself, which was built taking advantage of the AMP plugin. It is a fully AMP site, and therefore it takes advantage of all AMP optimizations out of the box, and we didn't have to do anything special to get them. If we run the site through the Page Speed Insights tool, we're pleasantly surprised to see that we get a very high score of 92. If we dig into the Core Web Vitals that are being expressed by the tool, we see that in terms of the first contentful pane or FCP, we can do better. So we can use tools like Lighthouse in order to dig in and get insight of how to improve them. But given the fact that we didn't have to do anything, or we took advantage of the AMP plugin fully, we are getting a very, very high score and a good return of our investment as content creators. So the takeaways that I want you to take home from this talk are the following. Focus on the user. There is nothing to fear about page experience, and it is a good thing that we strive to bring the best user experience to our users, because that is going to translate into their satisfaction, higher engagement, higher loyalty, and therefore we're going to have a better chance to succeed as content creators. Remember that although Core Web Vitals and Page Experience are page-level metrics, there are many factors across the web experience serving pipeline that influence the behavior of these metrics on our site. Also remember that the Core Web Vitals initiative has two audience targets. You can be a developer or you can be a creator. And for both, Core Web Vitals and Page Experience play a role, and the way that we go about them changes if we want to be involved on the technical aspects or not. But for both, tools play a key role in our success with Core Web Vitals and Page Experience. With them, we can measure and get insights about how our sites are performing in terms of these metrics. And with them, we can also automate at least some of the factors that influence the performance of our site. In the last two slides, I left a lot of links that I highly recommend for you to follow and learn more about, for example, the Core Web Vital metrics specifically, like load time, interactivity, content stability, user friendliness, and also more information about Web Vitals in general, the Search Console report, the AMP login site, and so on. So please check all these links, and you're going to learn much more about all the topics that we discussed today. So thank you very much for joining me in the session today. It was a pleasure to engage with you and talk about page experience, and I hope that you found all this useful. And remember, let's try for the best page experience that we can bring for our users, and let's make it happen.